Good afternoon, I'm Milton Walker with the Midday News. Special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. The Senate is scheduled to debate the bill to facilitate the forceful takeover of Venezuela's stake in Petrojam today. Leader of Government Business, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, tabled the bill this morning, suggesting that standing orders be suspended to allow the bill to be passed. However, opposition senators have so far objected to the motion, insisting that the bill is a critical piece of legislation which requires sufficient time for debate in the Senate.
That the government may even be able not to pay for the share. And that's why I need time to study this bill. Right? I want to make that very, very clear.
According to Senator Lambert Brown, in the wake of the Jerusalem vote, the bill may damage Jamaica's image.
Do not move this thing. The Prime Minister said he was waiting on a phone call. Give him the extra week to wait on a phone call.
Meanwhile, Senator K.D. Knight believes the move suggests to the public that the Senate is nothing more than a rubber stamp for the House of Representatives. He also says government senators have not presented a clear reason for the urgent need for the debate. The Health Ministry is calling for residents in St. James to make a greater effort in the eradication of breeding sites for the Aedes aegypti mosquito. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says, based on reports from the St. James Health Department, approximately 1,500 breeding sites have been identified across the parish. This, he says, is 10% higher than the standard.
Most of these breeding sites are found in and around the home. The management of solid waste is a challenge in our country. And it's not just about agency management. It's also about personal responsibility and personal management within your home. And the Aedes aegypti breeds very fast. 4 weeks lifespan, 300 eggs per laying, and they lay 4 times before they die. That's 1,200 eggs out of one little dibby mosquito.
Dr. Tufton pointed out that to date, St. James has recorded 85 cases of dengue. However, it says the situation is being managed. On the matter of the flu virus, Dr. Tufton also issued a strong warning.
If your child displays symptoms, take them to the doctor to get a proper clinical assessment, because there is confusion somewhat between whether or not someone has the flu or whether they have dengue. And to be absolutely sure and to administer appropriate treatment, it's best for a doctor to have a clinical assessment. But we are on alert and we're doing what we can to ensure that we will overcome the.
Dr. Tufton was speaking at the launch of the Compassionate Care Program at the Montego Bay Comprehensive Health Center yesterday. The revelation of the possible closure of Petrojam on Thursday has reportedly sent shockwaves across the workforce of the state-run oil refinery. The Union of Clerical, Administrative and Supervisory Employees, UCASE, which represents Petrojam workers, is adamant that despite the new Minister of Energy, Prime Minister Andrew Holness needs to address this critical revelation. The disclosure was made yesterday that the $34 million valuation of Petrojam is based on the assumption that the refinery's operations will cease at the end of this year and 70% of its workers sent home. The news has caught many stakeholders off guard, and jitters have started among an already anxious workforce at the refinery.
Come clean, put everything on the table, and let Jamaica know exactly what is happening. We don't want no more of this drip information coming out and being squeezed out, whether willingly or unwillingly. The Prime Minister took over the portfolio. He has handed it over to a new minister. I think that the Prime Minister must come and address the nation. But first, he must meet with the workers and the union, tell them what his position is, so at least the workers can know where they stand. People have to live their lives, and they cannot live their life in this extended mode of uncertainty. It is going on for too long now.
The National Environment and Planning Agency, NEPA, has given an update on the timeline for the public to give feedback on the Port Royal Cruise Port Development Project. NEPA CEO Peter Knight says in a matter of months, members of the public will have the opportunity to give detailed analysis and commentary on the environmental impact assessment. Environmentalists and community stakeholders have expressed strong opinions about the project, with major concerns about the effect on the environment. Mr. Knight says that although the project developer has already started preliminary work, the public will be significantly included.
You notice that our directive to Port Authority was in August, and the procurement process, the consultants are engaged and the work is being done. So I would think that as soon as it is submitted and it is accepted, that full-blown engagement process with the consultation will take place, and the Port Authority and the consultants know that they will have to answer all the questions and queries from the public. And then, after that process, we still have to allow a period of time for written comments, because people may come to a public meeting and may talk and so on, but then the intellectuals and so on may submit technical papers that we have to consider, and we have to prepare all of this before we can go to our authorities.
He says this aspect of the Port Royal project should take about 4 months. Scores of Jamaicans from all sectors of society gathered at the historic Sam Sharp Square in Montego Bay, St. James on Thursday to march against gender-based violence in the country. The concern comes since the ending of the state of emergency in St. James on January 31. Pastor of the Calvary Baptist Church, Everton Jackson, says since the SOE ended, the parish has seen an increase in the number of murders against both genders. TVJ's Prince Moore reports.
The placard bearing women accompanied by a small group of men, all dressed in black, marched from Calvary Baptist Church to Sam Sharp Square, where they all called for an end to violence. Chairman of the local committee for the Jamaica Baptist Union, Everton Jackson, says that the aim is to send a strong warning to the criminal elements that they have had enough of their violence against women and men in the parish and the country.
What is evident is that we cannot surrender to criminal elements in the parish or in the country. We need a collaborative effort to fight crime and violence. We need not just the security forces, but we also need the citizenry. All stakeholders must come on board.
Mr. Jackson added that the crime and violence that have been plaguing the country has had a ripple effect on the country's economy.
And we can't sit back and politicize this monster called crime and violence, because it is threatening and undermining the economy of our country.
In the meantime, Associate General Secretary of the Jamaica Baptist Union, Merlin Hyde Riley, is hoping that the message will not only bring an end to violence against men and women, but to bring awareness about domestic violence.
We are among those in this country who are really fed up with what is taking place as it relates especially to the abuse of our women and our girls. And we are saying that we have had enough, enough is enough. And therefore we are making a statement, and we are hoping that the messages that we are trying to convey through the various, what you call this stuff? The messages we are trying to convey through the placards and banners will bear some fruit.
Prince Moore, TVJ News.
Jamaican playwright Aston Cook is dead. The 61-year-old was found dead at his home in St. Andrew this morning. Mr. Cook was the recipient of 9 Actor Boy Awards for outstanding achievement in various categories of theatre in Jamaica. He was an inductee into the Caribbean Hall of Fame for Arts and Culture. Mr. Cook also served as chairman of the Jamaica Cultural Development Commission from 2013 to 2016. Over 100 unemployed youth in South Manchester have been provided with an opportunity for training and gainful employment. Speaking with TVJ News, Member of Parliament for South Manchester, Michael Stewart, says Speaking with TVJ News, Member of Parliament for South Manchester Michael Stewart says the step to seek employment for his constituents was necessary due to financial constraints they were facing.
CDF as it relates to tertiary assistance there, and it cannot be enough at all. We do need more funds to get our young people in.
The program is a collaboration between their Member of Parliament, Heart Trust and other stakeholders. Among the prospective employers are bauxite companies, Jamalco and Gisco Alpart. He also says persons will be paid through the government.
Through the program from the government, once they attend each afternoon, and they'll be certified up to level 2 so they can move on and to be employed.